But so when I think about working paycheck to paycheck, the worst thing about living paycheck to paycheck is that you're only one step away from being homeless. That is the scary thing. And homelessness is also racist. You just gotta what?
It is. I'm just agreeing with you. You said it's racist.
Is racist. If you go to, at least we know this in California. If you go on a Skid Row or the Tenderloin, those are the major spots where you find people that are homeless. You'll see an overrepresentation of people of color, not only now but historically. What you'll see is an overrepresentation of this is where the post-Reagan era people with mental illnesses went. They went to our jail facilities. They went to Skid Row. And they went to the Tenderloin. The reason I advocate for Social Security is tripling Social Security is because Social Security is $900 a month. And if you triple that and get someone just under $3,000, they could finally begin to pay what the rent is the landlords want to pay in the rent. My point is the people that receive Social Security, that receive disability checks, don't make enough money to afford the rent, so that if they can't afford the rent, ergo, they must be going homeless. So if you want to solve homelessness, it isn't about housing vouchers, social workers. It's the fact that right now, across our nation, people who have disabilities, people who are seniors, can't afford the rent, and they're all going homeless. There are people with severe mental illness, they're grandparents, they're your veterans. The veterans checks are, these checks do not cover the rent because the rents have tripled. The greedy landlords have taken it. Corporations have gone into housing, and the generation of the 21st century is not only immigration, it is housing and it is homelessness.
Well, having been homeless in New York City, I can tell you that until you know where you're going to lay your head, nothing else is really going to matter to you. Looking for work and all that other stuff. And I remember when I became homeless, I went to some of the restaurants I used to go to when I wasn't homeless, and they wouldn't even let me wash my ass. They wouldn't let me wash under my arms. They wouldn't let me do anything to groom myself to go out and look for a place or look for work or anything. They didn't care because I was one of them, those homeless people. And it was really hard, but until you know where you're going to lay your head each night, it is very difficult.
Every night is a sentence, is like a prison sentence, a jail sentence of sorts. Every night that you're homeless, and I hope you to amuse me in talking about this issue, Delilah. I mean, I just agree to this, not abuse, but agree is a better one. See, we now have 10 minutes left.
So in Texas,
what is the homeless situation like in Dallas? What's going on with homelessness in Dallas?
I'm just going to talk about what I know.
Texas in general.
So Houston is a big area where they police people, and it's a poverty sentence. So because you can't afford a lawyer or you can't afford bail, you go to jail. A lot of people that are sick, they have illness, will get arrested on purpose, especially elderly people, because that is the only place that they'll get the medicines they need to not die. And so to me, it's more about exploiting the most exploited in our population than anything else. We're only going to be getting sicker and sicker. The climate change is absolutely shifting how everything operates on this planet, and people want to ignore it, and they don't want to talk to it. So it's not just homelessness, it's lack of medicine, it's lack of clean water, it's lack of blankets, it's lack of shelter. All of those things matter. And you know, indigenous people before colonialism, they didn't have these problems. They didn't have jails, they didn't have homeless people. You know what I'm saying? That nobody went without medicine. So it's really hard to just speak on these issues without feeling an absolute loss for what the possibilities are. Because we limit ourselves.
We are the people of our times. We are the people of our times, right? We are the candidates, so we have to speak on these issues.
True.
And like when you look at what's going on in Texas, you know, I would guess that you got a lot of people who want everyone to pull everybody by the bootstraps. They're all wearing boots. So which means that they're against having social services. Are funding social services. Is that true in Texas? Is that becoming?
Isn't that very true, Delilah, in Texas? Because the governor won't take the money that Democrats have offered them for Obamacare and all that stuff, that you all don't have any of that access?
He denied federal funding for COVID. He denied federal funding for a couple of things. He's a bigot. There's no nice way to put it. He's just a bigot. He was happy to try and cut. My son had to use special needs services when he was younger, and he got kicked off of a program because they just want, and it delayed his education, it delayed his learning for 2 years, because in one quarter they got stingy and decided to not pay out to the communities as they needed. So I'm not looking to any of these cowards that create some of these problems for any of the solutions. What they're doing and how they've been operating is not how we're going to solve any of these
Texas
crises.
needs to vote for Delilah for governor of Texas. So Veronika, you're going to be the next insurance. We have about 5 more minutes. You're going to be the next insurance commissioner.
Yes,
Yes.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the love
Yes.
of the people and the community. I've been answering emails. People have been calling me, bizarre calls, but I try to be courteous to everyone. But I feel really energized because I wanted to be a face and a change candidate, because if I'm elected, which I plan on being commissioner of insurance for the state of California, then I'm going to raise up all Greens. I've urged everybody vote for Greens up and down the ballot.
Let's do a test.
Everywhere,
Let's do it.
everyone.
Come on, you and I do a test of progressiveness. I say that we should have Medicare for all. Not only Medicare for all, but Medicaid and Medicare for all, single payer, whatever it is, for all people in the United States and in California, even regardless of immigration status, regardless.
Californians, period. That's it.
Well, you're joining me with this and saying you just got to be across our border and we will treat you.
Californians deserve single payer health care. They deserve the best that we have to offer. And as insurance commissioner, I'm going to make sure that you get it. I'm going to work hard to provide you
Delilah,
with you need.
Delilah
will provide it for her state in Texas.
Fight.
She's going to fight. We're all fighting. Henk, when he gets in the Senate, he's going to kick butt.
Yes,
and
we
fight
must
for all of us.
decriminalize immigration. We are only 5 minutes to talk about a few things. We must decriminalize immigration. One of them is access not only to health insurance, but as the governor of California, what about access to primary education all the way through K through 12? Shouldn't anybody be able to walk into any school in Texas, regardless of their the residency status, and get a good education for free?
I feel like you framed that very odd, so I'm just going to expand that. We do support statewide single payer for everyone in the state, regardless of where they came from. And then we do advocate for better investment in public education. So people want people to work, they need to get paid enough to work, and they need childcare, and that's just how it goes. And I always advocate for teachers to strike. I advocate for a general strike so that people can get everything that they need, because there are plenty of resources to go around, but they're being kept from us. And so yes, I think we need all of our demands met one way or the other.
Here in California, that's been a contentious thing, and that's why I framed it that well, because it needs to be very much laid out directly that it's not just on any status can go down and get an education, right? And that's where I personally stand.
Society. Why are we denying this sector much needed resources?
Right.
Our teachers
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. So, but this is where we are. If there's any confusion about that, and you know, I one of the other things about living in the United States is that we have something which is strangely called the last thing is we call it a sanctuary cities. That became a thing. I don't understand why the federal government has never been allowed to use ICE, become that, break the Fourth Amendments, bust into people's apartments without probable warrants, and break any local laws that would be in place. The idea is that the city would stand up and say, oh, we're a sanctuary city. We're going to stand up against warrants.
They should. All cities should be sanctuary cities, because we should not allow and tolerate that injustice to people because they're from somewhere else. If they're here in California, if they're in Texas, wherever they are, they need to be treated equally and fairly, regardless of who they are, regardless of where they came from.
Access to the 14th Amendment should be regardless of, what I mean by that is that, but regardless of immigration status, they should have access to the constitutional rights. We should not say, well, you're not a citizen, so you don't have constitutional rights. All people, regardless of race and immigration status.
That's why I say California
should have access to constitutional rights, and these are above.
California covers everybody that's in our borders.
And last 2 minutes, let's say goodbye to Delilah. I do wish you well, and I think you should get out there more. I think you should get out there more in this time and be more vocal, because I think that Beto is not as popular as he thinks he is.
I just want to do things for direct community support, which is different from going to camp. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's a difference on how you show up to somebody's community. And I'm going to change how politics and politicians from now on have to interact with the community. That's happening now, because I'm not going to stand for that anymore.
Right on. How do we want to end this? We have less than a minute. Who wants the last word? Not me. Go for it.
Take care, y'all.
Oh, Delilah, you don't want to finish out? You can go.
I think I said enough. I'm not gonna be silent. That's for damn sure.
Right on.
Well, I'll say something, because I always have something to say. I want to tell all of you people, vote green. If you care about yourself, your own interests, your children, the people around you, if you care about clean air and water and everything, vote green. Vote green, vote green, up and down the ballot. Everyone, everywhere, vote green. Thank you.